Hello everyone, this is part 4 of What If Naruto Was the God of Taijutsu, and I hope you guys enjoy this video and to like, to subscribe, to share, and check out the playlist. To see more, comment down below. Now let's start the intro.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
The Hokage sat waiting on his chair. 7 o'clock was the time when he officially started handing out missions, unless of course, the mission was urgent enough to be dealt with immediately upon request. Not many shinobi teams showed up at 7 in the morning though to receive missions. It was mostly older jonins who suffered from the trauma of past experiences and found it hard to sleep. Only one genin team would possibly be here so early in the morning. Sarutobi smiled as that team barged into his office. He pushed the paper under his hand forward. He had just the mission for this exuberant team. Good morning Hokage-sama. This is Team Guy reporting for duty. My team and I wait with youthful anticipation for our first C-rank mission together. Guy strolled proudly into the office with his students right behind him. Naruto did his absolute best to restrain himself. 2 weeks ago and he would have been all over the place wanting to know about the mission. Hinata meanwhile smiled nervously at the boy's antics. While she was glad to finally be going on a real mission, she couldn't help but feel anxious at the same time. Lee appeared completely calm. C-rank missions to him were more of a chore than anything. Instead of being out in the field, he would rather be inside the village training. Yes, Guy, I had been expecting you and your team. It is with great pride that I give your team this mission. Instead of explaining it to you though, I'll have the client brought in. Sarutobi cleared his throat and called in a louder voice. Send him in. A couple seconds passed and nothing happened. The whole room stared curiously at the door, waiting for something. Without warning, it flew open and an old man with a bottle of booze stumbled into the room. Damn it, who leaves for a mission at this early an hour in the day ? The man cursed before taking a swig of his jug. I have to drink simply to keep myself awake. Now who is the team assigned to help me ? One don't see any super ninja in here. The man looked around the room, scanning completely over Guy and his team. What the hell, we have to protect this drunk old man ? The Hokage chuckled. The old Naruto still managed to show his way through after all. Who are you calling drunk ? I'll have you know, I am the man responsible for building the greatest bridge ever. The land of the waves is about to become well known thanks to myself. The name's Tazuna, remember it. Tazuna took another swig before continuing. And what do you mean protect ? A shrimp like you couldn't protect a turd. Why I'll kick your ass. Lee was holding Naruto in a full Nelson before he had even started speaking. Naruto could do nothing but swing his arms randomly. Naruto, enough. Guy finally spoke. Naruto immediately stopped swinging his arms but was clearly still fuming. We are all shinobi, sir, and I assure you, we will protect you until your bridge is completed. If you have any qualms about my charges being a little young, fear not. I am a jonin. Nothing will touch you with me around. A jonin? Not bad, I never would have guessed, looking at you though. You and your little clone over there look more suited to the circus. Tazuna laughed aloud to himself. No one else joined in. Students, meet at the south entrance in 15 minutes. I will escort Tazuna-san there myself as we discuss the mission specifics. Guy stepped forward and put his arm over Tazuna's shoulder. Yes, Guy-sensei. His students responded. They filed out the door, but not before Naruto managed to give Tazuna one more dirty look. Well, shall we go ? Guy smiled brightly as he and his client stumbled towards the door. Yeah, I hope you guys know what you're doing. Tazuna was clearly uncomfortable from Guy's close proximity. The Hokage was again alone in his office. His big smile had gone unnoticed by all the room's previous occupants. He just knew they'd get along fine. They are my favorite customers. Chuki said happily as Team Guy hurried into the noodle stand. So how did it go? Did you guys get your first C-rank mission ? We sure did. Naruto said bitterly, confusing the older man. Isn't that a good thing ? He looked to Naruto's teammates for an answer. Naruto-kun didn't get off to a good start with our client. Hinata answered quietly. Does Naruto get off to a good start with anyone ? Ayami asked as she came out from the back room. Ayami-san. Lee shouted in joy at seeing the older women. A quickly glare from her shut him up quickly. I told you, Lee, you can drop the san. Just my name is fine. She decided not to scold him for his loud voice. It would take a long time to break him of that habit. Oh, yes, of course. Lee said happily, a deep blush on his face. So when do you guys leave? Chuki cut the two of them off before they could say anything more. 15 minutes. Naruto took a seat at the stand. I need at least one bowl before we leave, we might be gone for a few weeks. A few weeks? Ayami asked in surprise. Yeah, we're helping some old man finish a bridge. Naruto grumbled. Some C-rank mission. So you guys won't be fighting anyone? The older girl sounded slightly relieved. Well, we are bodyguards, but the chances of us fighting anything stronger than bandits is slim to none. Lee answered easily, earning a concerned gaze from Ayami. They are shinobi, after all. Chuki threw down a bowl of ramen which Naruto began to inhale immediately. I'm sure you'll all come back safe. Of course. Lee nodded exaggeratedly. Well, you guys be careful. Ayami looked at all three of them now. Hey, no worries, Naruto said as he finished drinking down the broth. We've been training like mad. I bet Hinata could defeat everyone no problem. But you better save some for me, okay? Naruto turned to his female teammate. Hinata's face turned slightly pink but she smiled him. I'm sure there will be more than enough for you. Naruto nodded. There better be, just thinking about it makes dealing with that old fart seem worth it. Alright, well you guys better go, you don't want to keep your client waiting. Chuki chided the group lightly. Right, come on guys. Naruto set off with newfound fire. Hinata giggled slightly and followed after him. Hey, Lee. Before the spandex-clad boy could go, Ayami called out to him. He turned back to her questioningly. When you get back, we should go on another date. No horror movies though. Lee's face lit up in a huge smile. Yes, I shall be sure that we finish this mission in a most youthful fashion so that I may return to you in due time. Yeah, she was used to dealing with his weird speech by now. You better hurry or they'll leave you behind. Right. Lee saluted the two before turning and running after his team. Ayami watched them go down the road before she noticed her father was staring at her, a strange smile on his face. What are you looking at? Oh, nothing. Chuki said as he went back to preparing noodles. Damn it, what is taking him so long? Naruto stomped his foot impatiently. He and his teammates stood just before the gates that led out of Konoha. Its massive doors hung wide open, waiting for someone to cross them. The temptation for Naruto was almost too great. He really wanted to get out there and get the mission underway. Crappy client or not, it was finally a C-rank mission. They'll be here soon, Naruto. Lee responded. He was leaning against the wall next to the gate. It has only been 20 minutes. Guy-sensei is with a civilian so naturally it'll take a little longer. I'm sure they'll be here any second now. Hinata reassured her blonde teammate. She stood right next to him, twiddling her thumbs nervously. Yeah, I know, I'm just so excited to get out of this village. I've never left it before. It must be great out there. Naruto turned around and gestured to the world lying just outside the gates. It's not so much different from here. Not that I've been out far myself. Lee looked up in thought. What about you, Hinata? Have you been out of the village? Naruto turned to look at her. A couple times. But I was much younger and did not get to see much. It was always for family business. Naruto blanched at the mention of Hinata's family. He didn't know any of them but he knew he didn't like them. A few brief conversations with Hinata made sure of that. Students, we have arrived. All three of them immediately stood at attention as Guy and Tazuna, whose bottle of booze was noticeably absent, strolled into the vicinity. Geesh, you think a shinobi would have the common sense to keep quiet at this time in the morning? Tazuna looked around at the other few random citizens who were up and about. Not a single one of them paid any mind to Guy and his antics. What a crazy village. What was that, old man? Naruto stepped towards the bridge builder. Tazuna was about to retort but Guy beat him to it. No threatening the client, Naruto. He is a good man trying to connect his country to the rest of the world. He reminds me a little of you, actually. Don't compare me to him. Both shouted and pointed at each other at the same time. Hinata chuckled while Lee broke out into a broad grin. Damn it, let's just go. Naruto started for the exit of the village. Yeah, the sooner this is over the better. Tazuna also began walking. The rest of the team followed suit. Immediately upon stepping out of the village, Naruto charged forward 10 yards before turning around. Finally, I'm out of that village. Naruto jumped around excitedly. I really am doomed. Why would I have to be stuck with little kids? Tazuna knew he should have put in for B rank. You better watch it. This little kid is going to become Hokage someday. Naruto pointed to himself. Hokage? Tazuna laughed. Kid, I don't know if you've heard, but the Hokage is the strongest shinobi in your village. A brat like you has no chance in hell. I'll definitely become Hokage, just you watch. And when I do, everyone will have to stop disrespecting me and acknowledge my existence as a person. As a great shinobi, Naruto folded his arms proudly. I wouldn't acknowledge you even if you did become Hokage. It'll take more than that to sway my mind. Tazuna walked right past Naruto. The blonde boy ground his teeth hard. He wanted to scream at the old geezer. Then he felt a hand on his shoulder. Naruto looked up to see Lee standing there with him. Hey, don't worry about him, Naruto. He doesn't really know you. If anything, just remember that your teammates accept you. Lee gave him the nice guy pose. Naruto took a few deep breaths before visibly relaxing. You're right. Thanks, bushy brow. Naruto returned the pose. Now let's get going. Naruto started strolling after Tazuna. Nothing was going to ruin this mission for him. Lee smiled and walked in pace with Naruto. The team strolled leisurely for a few hours, making their way down the path that would eventually take them to the Wave Country. Naruto got bored quickly as he realized the only thing that seemed to exist outside of the village were trees. Nothing too special. Not a whole lot was happening either, and the three genins settled for making light conversation. Guy was not as easygoing as his students though. Something was off about this to him. Guy just couldn't put his finger on it. So he decided to be wary and keep his eye on the bridge builder. Of course, he kept his youthful exposure shown at all times. He had a reputation to keep. He just made sure to observe while he did this. Soon, Guy saw it. A puddle. His students walked by it carelessly. After all, what harm was a puddle? The problem was it hadn't rained in days. It shouldn't have been there. Guy made a quick decision. There was something he had to confirm. He just hoped he was wrong. He too walked past the puddle without giving it a second glance. Guy cleared his throat, and once he was sure he had everyone's attention, he spoke. I'm going to go on ahead for a few minutes and inspect the road ahead. Naruto gave their sensei a perplexed look. Why? Is something the matter? Tazuna quickly made his voice heard. Yeah, don't just leave me with these kids. What if something happens? Fear not, I won't be long. There is just something I need to confirm. Before anyone could say anything else, Guy vanished. Everyone stared blankly at the spot he had just been in for a moment. Let's just continue walking. I am sure Guy-sensei will inform us upon his return. It is nothing to worry about. Lee made a small hand motion for everyone to continue. I agree, Hinata said, worry evident in her voice. Yeah, whatever. Naruto smiled happily to himself before he started walking forward. Hinata quickly fell into step with him. Hey, don't leave me. Tazuna quickly ran up to the two of them. Lee smiled before he too started to walk. He didn't get any further than 2 steps when the sound of footsteps and chains reached his ears. Without any warning, he was suddenly quickly surrounded by spiked chains. What the? Lee turned his eyes slightly left and then right. To either side of him were identical-looking men with gas mask masks and giant claws. They appeared to be linked together by the chains. Let's finish this while the Jonin is gone. The one shouted, and they simultaneously pulled back their arms, causing the chains around Lee to constrict. Bushy brow. Lee senpai. Naruto and Hinata turned around just in time to see the two shinobi make this action. To their utter horror, it looked like Lee was about to be sliced into pieces. Fortunately, and to their relief, Lee seemed to disappear just a second before the chains got to him. What the hell? One of the shinobi asked in surprise before a foot buried itself into the side of his face, shattering his mask. Naruto, Lee shouted as he jumped backwards to avoid the other shinobi's claw. I need you to protect Tazuna-san. Hinata, back me up. Right. Naruto obeyed Lee without question. Next to Guy-sensei, he had the most experience in the field after all. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 3 clones popped into existence and they all formed a circle around Tazuna. Meanwhile, Hinata took a nervous step forward. Her breathing quickly became irregular as she stared at the brawl that was quickly erupting in front of her. Hinata, Lee shouted as he rolled under the chain. I can't. Hinata whispered. These guys, they're real, someone like me. I'll only get in the way. Hinata slipped down to her knees. Shockedly wasn't able to respond as he backflipped over both claws. He brought both of his feet down onto the shinobi's heads, knocking them forward. Go for the bridge builder. The one with the broken mask shouted. I'll hold this guy off. Right, the other one shouted as he charged forward. As if I'd let you. Lee rolled in between the two again. Konoha Senpu. Lee delivered a powerful spinning kick to the one who stayed to face him. The man was thrown backwards. The chain that connected the two snapped tight and the other brother was also pulled backwards. His body was still parallel to the ground when he passed by Lee. The genin didn't waste any time and drilled his elbow into the man's solar plexus, forcefully slamming his body into the ground. Disconnect the chain. The other shouted. With a loud hissing noise the chain popped free and the shinobi who was farther back charged forward. I won't let you past me. Lee assumed his Goken stance. Don't get why because of a lucky shot. The shinobi on the ground next to Lee swung his body around, bringing his legs forward in a sweep. Lee was caught completely off guard and fell backwards. Meanwhile the other shinobi jumped clear over him. Hinata, you have to stop him. Lee shouted again as he caught himself just before he hit the ground. Worry about yourself. The man swung his claw forward. Lee pushed off the ground and launched straight into the air, well above the strike. Hinata's body was visibly shaking as the shinobi ran towards her. She cursed and screamed mentally at herself. She had spent 2 whole weeks training for this. For a chance to prove herself in a mission. Yet here she was, scared and on her knees at the first sight of real danger. The man ran right past her, not even bothering to give her a second glance. You're mine, he shouted in glee as he swung his claw toward the bridge builder. Like hell, Naruto spread his arms out and took the full force of the blow in the chest. The man was completely taken aback as his arm actually made contact with flesh and he was even more surprised when the blonde popped into smoke. A shadow clone, but he's just a genin. The man took a slight step back in his surprise. You better not underestimate me. 2 more Narutos ran forward while one stood next to Tazuna. One clone ran directly in front of the other and as the shinobi swung at the front one the second jumped onto the clone's back and leaped forward with his fist outstretched. Naruto's punch connected with the man's jaw, sending him to the ground with a dull thud. Damn you. The man spit out blood as he stumbled to his feet. Not done ? The clone in front asked as he turned around. Then try this on for size. He outstretched his hand. The other clone grabbed onto his arm. Naruto grit his teeth and pulled the other with all his might, spinning in a circle as he did. The other clone was instantly pulled off the ground, his feet now swinging high in the air. Naruto clone hammer. The two shouted as the feet of the clone being swung smashed into the side of the shinobi's face, knocking him down again. This time he didn't get back up. Impossible. The other shinobi turned his attention away from Lee as he watched his teammate get knocked out by Naruto. Big mistake. The man felt all the air leave his body as Lee delivered a powerful blow to his stomach. He slipped down to his knees and then fell face first to the ground, also unconscious. Lee let a long breath out. That had been too close. A slow and loud clapping noise reached his ears. He spun around quickly to see Guy-sensei standing there, a huge grin plastered across his face. Well done students. That was most excellent. Guy walked up to where Naruto and Tazuna were. That was a nice move there, Naruto. It was filled with so much youth. It was nothing. It's thanks to you that I came up with it. Naruto smiled happily at his sensei. Lee. Guy turned his attention to his oldest student. Excellent job in taking command. I knew I could leave it to you. Guy gave his student a thumbs minisoup. A gesture Lee eagerly returned. Hinata felt tears coming to her eyes. While her team had been fighting with all their might, She had sat here and done nothing. She was useless. All the confidence she had been trying to build up led to nothing in the end. Hinata. She looked up at Guy. He turned the thumbs minisoup towards her now. Don't worry about it, you'll get it next time. She couldn't believe it. He forgave her that easily but she had failed. How could he ? Lee walked in front of her and extended his arm. You should have seen me on my first encounter with common highwaymen. Tenten and Neji had to save my butt. I was so miserable I thought I would never get better. We are not supposed to fight other shinobi yet anyways. Hinata stared at his hand for another few seconds. She then looked over to Naruto. He saw her look and smiled brightly. Thanks for giving me the shot at that guy, Hinata. I really wanted the chance. He put his arms behind his head and gave her an approving nod. Hinata couldn't help but smile. She loved her team. She wiped away her tears and accepted Lee's hand up. As she got up, her eyes took on the most determined look she ever had. I'm sorry, Lee-senpai. Next time will be different. Lee nodded enthusiastically. You guys did excellent. There were a couple times I almost interfered, but I'm glad I didn't. Guy walked over to a tree, set the ninja down and began tying him up. Fortunately, I was able to get all the information I needed from watching. Information ? You let things escalate to that just for information ? One thought for sure I was going to die. Tazuna pointed an accusing finger at Guy. He then added in a quieter voice. Although you proved to be pretty skilled, kid. I shouldn't have doubted you. Super sorry. The end was little more than a whisper, but Naruto heard it all. Hey, it's no problem. I was being a brat. So long as we are on the same page now, it's all good. Naruto smiled big at Tazuna. That's the problem, I don't think we are on the same page. Guy walked up to Tazuna. The bridge builder couldn't do anything but look away from the man's piercing gaze. Wait, what do you mean? Guy-sensei ? What are you talking about ? Naruto looked between the bridge builder and his sensei. He didn't get what was going on here. There shouldn't have been any shinobi. Lee began to explain. C-rank missions are of basic protection. Highwaymen, bandits, maybe rabid animals. There is never an enemy shinobi. This has been my first ever encounter with one myself. The fact that there were shinobi automatically makes this a B rank. Possibly even an A. Exactly, and the shinobi were after you, Tazuna-san. Now explain to me why this is. If you don't, I will end this mission right now. We will turn around and go home. Sensei, your bane. Guy held up his hand to silence Naruto's protest. I need to know what I'm up against. I can't risk your precious lives without knowing the full extent of the danger. Guy continued to stare intently at Tazuna. Tazuna let out a big sigh. I have no choice but to tell you. He let a dramatic pause take over. But please, get me to my ferryman. I will explain all about it on the boat ride over. Guy looked to consider for a minute. Sensei, please let us continue. It would only make my failure bigger if we don't move forward. Guy turned and looked at Hinata. It was true that she had become more confident lately, but saying she wanted to continue was not something he expected from her anytime in the near future. Guy couldn't refuse now. They were less than an hour from the wave anyways. Might as well get that far. Okay, we will get you there. But I warn you, if you are not completely honest with us, I'm cutting you off. Thank you. I'll hold nothing back. Tazuna bowed to them gratefully. Good. Let's set out, team. They left the pair of brothers unconscious under the tree. Not even Guy noticed the masked shinobi who had watched the whole fight. You say the demon brothers were defeated by a couple of genin ? A shirtless shinobi slammed down a massive blade in a show of dissatisfaction. That is correct, Zabuza-san. The masked shinobi who had watched the fight said. He was bowed down in front of the tall man before him. The man called Zabuza stared coldly at the boy before him. Tell me, Haku, what do you think of the skill of the team ? Haku looked up in surprise at the question. Two of the genin are clearly very new. I would say they haven't been shinobi for even a month. However, the one has the ability to use the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu effortlessly. The other is without a doubt a member of Konoha's Hyuga clan. Judging by her forehead, I'd say she is from the main branch. A Hyuga ? Zabuza actually sounded interested now. He didn't say anything further than that though. Yes. As for the other two shinobi, they were peculiar. Haku spoke carefully now. Zabuza said nothing, but his narrow eyebrow raised slightly at Haku's word choice. They were both dressed entirely in green spandex, had bowl cuts, and incredibly bushy eyebrows. Haku somehow felt embarrassed just describing the two. Zabuza's face seemed to show some realization, so Haku quit talking. Might guy. The tall shinobi drawled. Haku didn't reply. Supposedly the only Jonin Konoha capable of matching the famous copy ninja in a fight. The strange green beast. That man ? Haku couldn't help but let his doubt show through. But if he is capable of matching the copy ninja, doesn't that effectively tie him for second strongest in the village, only outclassed by the Hokage ? If you don't count the Sannin, who have cut the ties from that village, then yes. Haku was surprised to see the gears in Zabuza's brain actively spinning. If what you say is true, I imagine his students didn't use much other than Taijutsu, am I right ? Zabuza mounted his massive blade onto his back. That's correct, Haku said. The blonde did use shadow clones, but they were extremely well coordinated in hand-to-hand combat. Zabuza seemed to think about everything Haku had just said. I'm going to need your help for this one, Haku. Zabuza-san ? The masked boy asked curiously. We're going, come on. Zabuza began walking off, a confused Haku trailing right behind him. Guy's team arrived on the bank of a giant lake. Due to the thick mist, they weren't capable at all of seeing the other end of it. Over here, they heard a man give a hoarse whisper from their left. They turned and saw a man with a small rowboat waving them over. Tazuna breathed a sigh of relief. You have no idea how happy I am to still see you here. Tazuna led the shinobi over to the ferryman and boarded without preamble. Guy's team did the same and they were quickly on their way. This is what you got to help you ? Children ? The ferryman looked at Team Guy questionably. It's all I could afford. Tazuna held his hands in defense. Besides, don't underestimate them. They've saved my life once already. The ferryman still looked doubtful. I still don't know why it was necessary. Guy caught Tazuna's attention. You say all you could afford ? Is your land really that bad off ? What happened that could put you in such a state ? Gatu, was Tazuna's easy answer. Guy's eyes widened in recognition. I see you've heard of him. Yes, the same Gatu that runs the shipping company. He may seem like just a businessman, but underneath he is little more than a pint-sized gangster, selling drugs, women, whole countries. He is the man after my life. Naruto, Lee and Hinata stared wide-eyed at his story. But I don't understand. Why would such a powerful man want you dead ? Lee had been the first to find his voice. Because of the bridge. Tazuna gestured to his left and they all turned to see a massive structure take shape in the mist. Wow, it's so big. That's incredible. You're making that ? Naruto had newfound respect for the man they were guarding. But why should he oppose you making this bridge ? Hinata too couldn't believe the size of it. Our country is cut off from the mainland. We do all our trading by boats. Gatu bought out all our shipping industries and now has a monopoly of the land. He has made us very poor. The only thing standing between his complete control is the completion of the bridge. If I complete it, I can break his grasp. Tazuna slammed his fist into his palm. He worked himself up during his speech. After a few deep breaths, he continued talking. By the time I realized Gatu was sending shinobi after me, we were too poor to hire higher level protection. There is no way we could afford it. I just needed something. It looks like I lucked out with you guys though. Tazuna sat up on his knees and clasped his hands in front of himself. Please, you have to protect me. For the sake of my country. For my daughter and grandson, I need to complete this bridge. I know it's not much for now, but in a few years we would be able to pay you back in full. We just need to get on our feet first. The three genin all had tears forming on their eyes. His story had clearly touched them. They all turned to their sensei. Guy sighed. How could I possibly sleep well at night if I turn you down now ? Okay, we'll do it. Guy gave him the thumbs up and one of his flashy smiles. The effect was slightly ruined by the mist, however. Thank you so much. My country owes you our existence for this. Tazuna wiped away tears he had been holding back. Don't thank us yet, the next group won't be pushovers like the last two, I may even have trouble soon here. His three students looked at him in disbelief. The same thought ran through all their minds. How could anyone be trouble for someone as fast as their sensei? Soon the boat went under a tunnel and they came out into a small river. Wow, look at that, there are trees growing in the water. Naruto looked around excitedly at everything in this new land. To his disappointment, nothing else stood out all that much. At least the river trees had been cool. The boat docked a short while later. This is as far as I go, Tazuna. Everyone disembarked from the boat as the ferryman talked. I thank you for making this risk for me. Tazuna bowed to the man as he paddled his way back down the river. They watched him go until he disappeared from sight. Okay team, Guy said in a normal tone. From here on out we are going to be moving slowly. We're in enemy territory. Hinata, I need you to take up the rear behind Tazuna. Naruto and Lee stand on either side. I'll take the lead. Don't drop your guard until we are in the village. Yes, Guy-sensei. All his students replied in hushed voices. They followed their sensei's directions immediately. Hey, no need to be so serious. Tazuna said nervously. You guys took care of that last group no problem. Which is why now we have to be extra cautious. They'll send out the strongest they got now. Worst case possible, they send a Jonin. Guy continued to speak at a normal volume. Jonin ? You mean like yourself ? Tazuna gazed around the misty area nervously. Don't worry Tazuna-san. No matter how tough the opponent, I won't let him get you. Guy turned and smiled at their client. How touching. A raspy voice echoed. Everyone suddenly grew tense. Hinata, Guy said hurriedly. Byakugan. Hinata activated it before her sensei could say anything more. Her eyes grew wide at what she saw. Everyone, duck. Hinata dropped to the ground as she shouted. Naruto and Lee each grabbed an arm on Tazuna and pulled him down with them. Guy didn't bother to drop at all. He turned just as a giant spinning sword appeared out of the mist. Guy stuck his arm out and caught the blade right by the handle. Oh. Not bad. The voice rang from multiple directions at once. This sword. Guy stared at the blade he was holding. You must be the ex-Kiri shinobi. One of the 7 swordsmen, Momoki Zabuza. I'm touched. You know my name. The voice came from directly above him. Guy turned his gaze upwards. A shirtless man was falling straight towards him. A replica of the blade Guy was holding was also in his hand. Guy swung the sword in his hand up as Zabuza swung his down. The blades connected and Guy's dissolved into water upon contact. TCH, a water clone. Guy cursed and took a small leap backwards, completely avoiding Zabuza's blade. Lee, Hinata, Naruto. Surround Tazuna. No matter what happens, protect him with your life. Yes. The 3 genin formed a triangle around the still down Tazuna. No matter what happens ? Zabuza chuckled as he pulled his blade from the ground. You might be giving me too much credit there, might Guy. I make a point of never underestimating my opponent. Guy slipped into a Goken stance as he eyed his opponent up and down. We'll see about that. Zabuza took a step backwards and appeared to be swallowed whole by the thick mist. I see, so this isn't a natural mist at all. This is your doing. Guy nodded to himself as he gazed around the thick mist. Observant aren't you ? One wonder how observant you are when I'm chopping your client to pieces. The 3 genin spun around in surprise to see Zabuza standing right in between them, his sword angled at Tazuna's neck. No. Tazuna yelped in fear and tried to move backwards. Not so fast. Guy appeared right there a second later, his foot drilling into the top of Zabuza's head. The man broke apart into water and Guy's undeterred foot continued on right into the ground, creating a small crater that his genin and Tazuna stumbled into. Sorry about that team, but I can't afford to hold back here. Guy spun around as he talked and caught Zabuza's sword again as the ex-Kiri shinobi thrust it forward. Guy took a step forward and delivered a powerful punch into Zabuza's face, breaking him into water. How unyouthful, hiding behind your clones. Guy shouted into the mist as he took a couple steps forward. Wow, so this is a battle between Jonin. Lee whispered in awe. Naruto even nodded in appreciation. It's on a completely different level from that battle we had earlier. This is so cool. Naruto-kun. Hinata chided lightly but couldn't keep a small smile from gracing her face. Hey. Tazuna sounded worried. Don't forget about me. I nearly died already. You do not have to worry about that. Guy-sensei could not possibly lose this fight. Lee said enthusiastically. Just watch. He is about to get serious. Everyone did as Lee said and turned their attention to the powerful man in front of them. Get serious, huh? Zabuza's mocking voice echoed throughout the misty field. Doesn't matter how serious you get, you'll never find me in here. I am an expert of the silent killing technique. When I am in the mist, I am unbeatable. Provided there is any. Guy took a deep breath and closed his eyes. He then appeared to start performing some strange form of Tai Chi. The only sound that could be heard in the mist was Guy's deep, but somehow calm breathing. Are you taking me for a fool? What are you trying to do? Zabuza's question was answered a second later as Guy's eyes shot wide open. First gate, open. Guy widened his stance and waved his arms widely in front of himself. A second later and a great wind passed through the whole area, dissolving the mist as it blew. What in the? Tazuna was the only one who was capable of saying anything at all. Impossible. Zabuza stood in plain sight now, right at the edge of the riverbank. Before he could even blink, Guy was right in front of him, a powerful fist buried into his stomach. Zabuza was rocketed across the water. He hit the surface but was flying too fast to sink in. Instead he bounced once, twice, 3 times before he was able to get stable enough to skid to his feet. Massive waves rolled across the water from the multiple impacts Zabuza had made on it. Why, you bastard! Zabuza's face wraps were stained red around his mouth. His sword was somehow still in his hand. I'll make you pay for that. I'd like to see you try. Guy stepped onto the water himself and was immediately racing towards his opponent. He moved at such a great speed that he almost appeared to be gliding across the water. Zabuza hurled his sword into the air and began running through a set of hand seals. Suten, Suiruban no Jutsu. The water directly in front of Zabuza rose up and formed a large orb. As it completed, Zabuza's sword fell back towards him. Stretching out his hand, the ex-Kiri shinobi caught it effortlessly. He then swung the sword forward dramatically. As if the orb had been waiting for the signal, it shot off a high number of slim whips of water. No chance an attack like that will hit me. Guy charged undeterred into the thick of the attack. Every time it seemed like a whip would hit him, Guy would just vanish and appear unharmed a couple steps farther ahead. In no time he reached the orb and with a powerful spinning kick he destroyed it completely. Damn. Zabuza stepped forward and swung his sword. Guy ducked under the swing and delivered another powerful kick that Zabuza jumped over. The two joined and began exchange viscous blows. He's so fast. Tazuna felt hope build up inside him. Something he hadn't felt for a long time. Yeah, get him Guy-sensei. Lee and Naruto cheered together. When did Guy-sensei get that fast? That's incredible. Naruto couldn't believe the sudden increase in power their sensei had just received. It's the Hachiman. Lee answered. Naruto gave him a confused look. Guy-sensei opened the first of 8 gates. Each time you open up a gate your power increases significantly, with risk of course. Supposedly, opening all 8 would give even a genin the power to match a cage. Guy-sensei has so gotta teach me that. He's kicking ass with it. Naruto practically drooled at the idea of being capable of matching the old man. Something isn't right. Hinata interrupted everyone's good mood with just that one phrase. She was staring out at the water, her Byakugan fully active. Come on, Hinata. What are you talking about? Guy-sensei has got this. Naruto waved off Hinata's worries quickly. No. It isn't that, I just could have sworn I saw something at the edge of my vision a moment ago. Another person, with a mask. Everyone then noticed Hinata's Byakugan was still active. Very suddenly, she spun around. It shocked everyone else so bad that they did as well. What they saw surprised them. So much for sneaking up on you guys. Those eyes of yours are troublesome for sure. A masked boy who didn't sound any older than they were stood only about 10 paces behind them. How did you get here so fast? Hinata whispered. Just a moment ago he hadn't been within her range at all. Now he was practically right next to them. Speed is an important aspect of any shinobi. I would think you would know that better than anyone, with that man as your sensei and everything. The boy spoke pleasantly to them. No one was able to sense any evil intent. Yet they all kept the guard up regardless. Are you a member of Kirigako's Hunter Squad? Lee asked curiously as he stared at the insignia on the boy's mask. Haku rubbed the mark of the wave gently as he considered how to answer. No, I am not. He finally said. Truth is, I am actually with Zabuza-san. We killed the hunter nin that was after us and I took his mask. Without warning, a group of shuriken were flying straight at him. How unpleasant. Haku stepped lightly out of the way, right into Lee's waiting attack. I got you. Lee swung his leg in a high kick. To his complete surprise, Haku caught his kick without even flinching. I apologize, but you'll be coming with me. Haku began running through one-handed seals. When he finished, a mirror of ice quickly formed behind him. Bushy brow. Lee senpai. Hinata and Naruto both charged forward. Too late, I'm afraid. Haku stepped into the ice and pulled Lee with him. Hey, take care of Tazuna-san. Don't worry about me. That was the last thing Lee shouted before he was pulled into the mirror. As if it was magic, they both vanished. Naruto and Hinata's screams reached the ears of the two battling jonin. Guy spun around just in time to see Lee being sucked into the mirror. What the hell? Guy stared in horror and took 2 nervous steps towards his team. Hold on right there, Mike Guy. You have a choice to make here. Guy spun around, his eyes glaring. If looks could kill, Zabuza would be dead 108 times over. My little pupil there has just dumped your genin into Gator's stronghold, but he'll be coming back in just a second. Now here's where your choice is. You let me go back to the hideout, and I'll make sure nothing happens to him. In exchange, you can keep my pupil over there as collateral. Guy took a step towards Zabuza, ready to continue the fight. Or, you can continue to fight me, but even if you win, Haku will have taken your other 2 students and there will be no way for you to ever find them. So what will it be? Let me go and have a shot at saving all 3 students? Or kill me and lose them? How can I trust you to keep your bargain? Guy seethed between clenched teeth. I still need to kill the bridge builder. Zabuza answered easily. Bring him and Haku on top of that bridge in 2 weeks. Also, be sure Haku has his weapons. Make sure no one else comes, not even your other 2 genin. I'll show up with your last one. We'll finish our battle for good at that time. You shameless bastard. Guy grit his teeth. If even a hair on my precious student is hurt, I'll make you wish you were never born. With that, Guy turned and disappeared facing his students. Zabuza let out a deep laugh as he made his own hasty retreat. The whole thing would have been pointless if Guy somehow managed to follow him after all. Naruto and Hinata ran straight into the mirror and bounced off of it completely. No, you bastard. Give bushy brow back. Naruto whipped out a kunai and began stabbing the mirror with all his might. H's blade broke off completely from the handle on his 5th swing. Let me try. Hinata's past insecurities were completely forgotten as she tried with all her might to save her teammate. She channeled all the chakra possible into her hands until they were both covered in what appeared to be blue lions. Juho Soshikan. Hinata struck again and again with her enhanced palms. Are you sure this is alright? They both spun around to see Haku stepping out from another mirror right behind them. If I had wanted, I could have killed the bridge builder right here. You both left him completely unguarded. Fortunately for you, Zabuza-san has the unfortunate weakness of liking to mentally torture his opponents, so he'll live for today. Tazuna took a couple nervous steps away from the mirror. You bastard, where did you take bushy brow? Naruto shouted. Your friend is safe. Fear not, we'll have more time to talk later. Haku began forming more one-handed signs. Before he could even get halfway through them, however, Guy appeared. Get away from my students. Haku didn't stand a chance. Guy's fist buried itself into his stomach and the boy was out cold before he even knew it. His mirrors shattered and fell to pieces as Haku's body went limp where he stood. Naruto, Hinata. Guy turned himself and Haku fell to the ground unceremoniously. Lee. The 2 genin looked at each and then back at their sensei. They were speechless. Hey, I'm sorry. This wasn't how it was supposed to be. Tazuna threw himself at Guy's feet. Please, I'm sorry, forgive me. Tears freely fell from the man's eyes as he begged for forgiveness. Guy clenched his teeth as he stared down at the unconscious boy they now had prisoner. He then turned back to the water and inhaled deeply. Damn you. Momoki Zabuza. That will be all for this video. Be sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment down below for more videos. Goodbye.